So hello everyone. My name is Gunnhildur. I'm originally from Iceland, and I graduated from Harvard this spring, and now live in New York. And I'm an experimental vibe coder. I first got into vibe coding through Mateus. Actually, I did a hackathon, like a one-day hackathon, and just decided to continue working on the idea that I was working on then. So I will just start my pitch. Let's see. So share screen. Perfect. So my product is called Mímir. Can everyone see this?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, lovely. So just to give a bit of context about the team, we have two people, which is really fun. I'm a huge nerd and I love reading. This is prefacing what the idea is. And Chetan is a self-taught programmer and we're both working on this, but we're both vibe coding, and that is very fun. So just for context, reading is what we are working on. Reading to learn, so goal-oriented reading, if you have to read a textbook or an essay or something. Reading to learn is an ineffective model for learning because it's passive. The value chain of learning is fragmented and it is ineffective. Cognitive science tells us that we actually do need to interact with the text in order for us to actually remember it. And that's why 70% of what we actually read is forgotten within a week. And all these ways in which we traditionally read are quite passive. They're not engaging, they're silent, and it is not personalized, and the learning does not take place when you need it. So if you want to read a book about biology and it teaches you something about plants, you will need to use that knowledge pretty soon afterwards if you want to actually remember it. And we kind of have the sense that reading to learn isn't very good. And so people sometimes try to use AI, but that is actually not helping at all because, the way AI is designed, sometimes it's kind of like a mental crutch. And studies that are coming out now are showing that if you're using ChatGPT to help you learn and help you write an essay or read, it causes cognitive atrophy or using less of your brain. And so that's not really what we want. But it's also, you can't really get away from using it right now because everyone's using it. So we thought, what if we can flip the script? And what if we can use AI to build cognitive capacity and learning outcomes from reading? So we are designing Mímir, which is an AI native reading platform with in-context tools that build deep understanding and interactive reading experiences. So the way I like to explain it is, imagine if you are reading next to an Ivy League tutor. You would want to probably, as you're reading, you would want to ask them questions about the text. What does this mean? Can you explain this concept? You would also want them to ask you questions, so to make sure that you are actually understanding. But then you would also want to contextualize the reading to you. Let's say this is the first text from Plato that you're reading. You'd want to understand, is this, like a part of where in the philosophy does this fit? How does this relate to what I'm interested in? And so we think that all of these things can actually be done with AI if we just design it very well. So that's the goal of the platform. I will show you a demo of the product so far. So far you can upload any book that you want, and you can set your preferences of
the greatest improvements in the productive
and then you
powers of
open this
labor and the greater part of the skill, dexterity, and judgment with which it is anywhere directed or applied seem to have been the effects of the division of labor.
So with this platform, you can take notes, and we hope to use all of them, these things as kind of intent signals as to what you're interested in. And then the tutor comes and asks you questions afterwards to try to, this is based on like active recall and spaced repetitions, which are concepts in learning science that tell you that you need to recall the knowledge in order to make it stick. And so after you've used this, you can always go back and review these kinds of notes. And in future versions, we hope to make a kind of daily recall sessions, in where the Raven interviews you about what you've been reading over the past week or last month, and is trying to get you to reflect more deeply. So this is where the platform is at right now. Anyone can use it. But we definitely want it to be at the place in which it can, you can ask it questions about the text, have it test your understanding that is currently functional, and ask them to contextualize the reading to you. And yeah, like I think this platform is interesting because it's built with a whole value chain of learning all the way from, in context, active recall, note taking, and to, testing yourself. And that's something that no platform does. But beyond features, there's no tool that is built that is optimizing for your own cognition. Like, most other tools wouldn't mind just doing the work for you, but we're the first ones to think, how can we make sure that this element of cognitive struggle is enhanced? Because that is the thing that makes you learn. But if you just use AI summarizes, that takes it away from you. So we're the first platform that is being thought actively of, how can we make you productively struggle? And yeah, I think this will be used with consumers, but also with teachers. And we also envision some partnerships with publishing houses. So this is kind of, we hope to make a new medium for books where they are context enriched and dynamic pieces of text, where each person can kind of personalize the book to them. You can ask the AI to write in notes that relate to what you are interested in. You can ask questions and the thing responds. And I think this is kind of where books should be heading towards. We don't want to use AI to rewrite every single book. I think there's value in original text, but we also want to enhance the reading experience with AI. So yeah, we would like to be the future interface or front door or front end for educational texts. And we're currently in beta testing and product iteration, and we hope that we can very soon publicly launch, as well as try to start some trials with teachers. And the way I usually pitch this to teachers is, this is mental scaffolding for AI and the kind of controlled injection of it into the learning process. Teachers really don't like ChatGPT because they know that the models are built to just, please the user. But with teaching, you actually can't always please the user. You have to sometimes be strict, and that's not how ChatGPT is built. So yeah, that is where I hope to take this. I think this is a very short presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Gunnhildur, thank you so much for your presentation. I like your idea and your project. Actually, I will try to contact you to later use it for my own project and studies.
Lovely.
So
definitely. Thank you for this presentation. I really like it since it combines a lot of the tools that I've used separately to inform reading books and connecting dots between different books and papers that I've read. I had one question. So how do you think this product is different from something which is on archive or a txyz.ai, if you've heard about it? So you can upload papers and books to it. You can ask questions, and essentially it can also give you some kind of a context graph on it, connecting basically things, different things that you've read into kind of a knowledge graph. So how do you think this differentiates?
So I do think there's a very clear product philosophy difference between things such as Google Notebook LM and what I think you're referencing, because with that, you just press a button and the work is done for you. I don't want to do the work for you, because the work of making this knowledge graph is actually the thing that builds understanding. And I think sometimes we want to have an overview, but other times we actually do want to, have that knowledge be internalized. So in that sense, I know this platform cannot make knowledge graphs, but yeah, it is different from a tutor. For example, Khan Academy just came out with an AI tutor.
Right.
But that's all just if you have a question and it helps you get to the answer. But this is very different because we are just allowing you to do the reading, and then we are trying to push you to think deeper and to think about questions. So it is for helping you to think beyond just, because with ChatGPT, it's very limiting. What are the questions you ask, the creativity of those questions, and this is trying to get you further.
Yeah, no, thank you. So what are your plans for scaling this app up, or like
Yeah.
your?
So currently we just want to get it to, it's very important that the AI tutor doesn't feel too like an exam, but that it also has
Right.
a pedagogical purpose. So we're kind of fine tuning that with some help, with the help of beta testers right now. But yeah, we want to release it as a consumer product, but then simultaneously contact private high schools and sell to them, as well as sell to publishing houses.
Right. I think for that's a very good point. Like for publishing houses, this would be really good, because since they have audiobooks in there, you have a feature where you can ask questions and get answers from the book.
I think that it's trying to combine a lot of features, which I think and a good example for this is that, you know, there's a lot of professions that have good technology. Like a designer has excellent technology. Like a computer scientist, you see their screen and it's built for serious coding. But with reading, there is no reading platform that is built for serious reading. You have PDFs. Like, have we not gotten further than that? So I do think that there is value in integrating a lot of these tools. And with audio, exactly. I've loved to listen to nonfiction books, but it's horrible if there's a graph and I can hear the author like describing the graph. I'm like, I want to interact, I want to see the graph, but I don't see it if it's an audiobook. And there's just a lot of these frustrations if you use all these tools independently.
No, definitely. I think this has like a lot of promise. Like one last question. So would you also have a feature in the app where it can basically track a reader's reading habit and connect dots between different papers or books they've read, so that they can connect the knowledge?
So connect people socially?
No. So just one person. Let's say I have a library of books or papers that I've read, and I'm reading a new book wherein some of the knowledge has already been in other research papers or books that I've read. And it tells me that, oh, you've read some of this there. This is an extension of this.
Yeah. So that is one of our future visions, is for this, because I think there's a lot of learning platforms that are built from this bottom, like this top-down perspective of educating.
Right.
But I think there's not a lot of learning platforms that are built from the bottom up of like curiosity. And so I think one of the really still valuable things about universities is the concept of syllabuses, for an external professor to be able to say, this is a syllabus, after completing it, you will achieve these goals. And so I think that there's a value, and we hope to collect, like, without sounding scary, we're going to collect data on learning, like metadata on learning. And I think that could inform a better kind of AI that suggests a learning path for you. So, and that's hyper specialized. Like the AI would know where you struggle, it would know what you've been reading.
Right.
And I want to also
what questions you ask.
upload my transcript, and then I will say, okay, this is what I've studied in the past, and you obviously see what I've read. I'm curious about like metacognition, and then the GPT can ask me more questions about what it's curious, and suggest the learning path for me. And the thing that I think is really interesting is if it does suggest, for example, a textbook for me to read, it can hyper personalize this to me, not by rewriting the text, because I do think that original texts are useful to pass around, but it can add notes and like intro chapters and be like, you should read this chapter, and that chapter.
Right.
That chapter will teach you about this. This chapter will, like, you should notice this. And that's also a thing that we can now recently do with recent improvements in document processing. Like right now, there's new APIs that are coming out where you can scan a document and you can obtain a markdown file. So you can add in like an element into the textbook or the markdown file. So so sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Understood. No, thank you for that. And like finally, like, so what's your first step to getting more users onto this platform once you're beta testing? Is it initially just through a university channel, wherein you ask professors to trial it out? And
we think that one of the highest ICP groups is ADHD people. And so I was just gonna, when it's ready, post on a bunch of Reddit channels and TikTok, honestly, just to get the word out there. But then after that, I think we have currently one of our ideas is to create a Canvas integration, and that's something that actually anyone can do. And so then professors could start using it independently, and then it becomes much easier to sell to universities after like a few professors have started using it already. But to get more users, I think we're still just focusing on building. And I think through building, we want to figure out more who is the ICP, and then when it's done, try to get users.
Thank you. This is a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Hey, it was a nice presentation, nice demo. So in the demo, you were showing like you're uploading a book to the portal, right? Do you think there'll be some copyright related issues here?
Yeah, so this is something we've thought about. Unfortunately, it's true that like people download books from LibGen, but it is kind of hard for us to be an enforcer of this. I don't think that we can. We're not responsible for the origins of the text that people upload, but eventually, like I hope that actually becomes a strategic advantage as to why publishing houses should partner with us, because we could say, yeah, we can, if you partner with us, we will enforce no, you can't upload this text onto the platform. And especially because with the improved document processing technology, it is more easier to see, okay, this is clearly copyrighted. And so it's a reason as to why a publishing house should partner with us, because then we can protect them from this. But unfortunately, otherwise we kind of can't. And if we are just like, especially if we become a Canvas integration tool, then we can't know how the teacher obtained this text. So we, and every user is just uploading things for them to use privately. So I don't think we can actually start enforcing like this kind of piracy is very not enforced and a gray area, and I wish it wasn't. But yeah, if there's something that you think of that where we could positively contribute to less piracy, then I'd be happy to implement that without becoming like a surprising legal enforcer. But I have checked, and we're not legally liable, if that's what you're asking.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding that. Have you gotten any feedback from your beta testers on the process of uploading the books and all of that? Because one of my concerns would be a lot of people don't actually own downloadable copies of their books. Like I buy all my books on Kindle. Have you received any feedback on that?
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't just for books. This is also for like if you have a dense neuroscience paper like that you want to use. And I think with just the PDF for EPUB uploading, that's probably what people would use it more for. But I think, yeah, that is unfortunate. But our beta testers have more been using it for papers and textbooks, which often do come in a transferable format. I think there's a few things you could do. You could have like integrations, but I can understand why, like, yeah, I mean, that is hopefully for later stage in which we could have some sort of partnership and allow for exporting in between. But yeah, no, it's a technical challenge.
Okay, if you are getting a lot of academic papers, do you have any intentions of doing some support for, because a lot of the taking notes on an academic paper like Zotero is pretty important. Is your app providing that service? Or if somebody asks a lot of questions regarding an academic paper and then they want to put that into some reference or something else, do you have some capture for that?
So if someone's reading a lot of academic papers that they have can you actually clarify more actually?
I just mean like if your use case is not so much reading a novel, but actually asking questions and learning from an academic paper, is there any service to like export the notes you take on that to use somewhere else, or are they tied down to your app?
So in the future versions, I would like for there to be a way in which you could export your notes that are based off of both your own answers from the Raven recall sessions, as well as the notes that you do take. And when you ask the the tutor like, hey, what does this mean? It'll add that, save that to a little note in the margins. And so we use a lot of these mini intent signals to create a notes document for you. And yes, I want you to be able to export notes from that are built on both the quotes, the notes, and the answers you gave, which are kind of like intent signals to what you found interesting.
Great, thank you.
We have the next judge can chat our question. Swaichi, I guess you're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. I guess you've covered pretty much everything. So if you can tell me a little bit about your business model.
Yeah.
How do you plan to sort of acquire, and you mentioned how you plan to acquire customers, but how much it would cost to acquire a customer, how much you would sell the app for, what you would make margins?
Yeah. So we're definitely going to operate on a subscription model from the consumer side. We haven't set down a price quite yet, but somewhere between $12 and $20. And that is cheaper than people are paying currently for tools like Speechify or similar tools. So I don't think that's going to be a barrier. But in terms of institutional pricing, we're still exploring that.
Okay. And your total cost of capital would be?
So in terms of margins, each user at the moment is costing us around $2 per month. But these are kind of hard to say because the current, like it really depends on the quotes that you get for speech to text and text to speech models. And you can get really low quotes if you buy large amounts. Yeah. So I think that will go down over time.
Okay. And what speech to text, text to speech services are you currently using? Is it 11?
We're using Unreal. That's one of the better and cheaper ones, but we plan to switch over to Deepgram pretty soon because they're still building out one feature that we need. But we're definitely prioritizing quality.
Excellent. And are you building it out of Claude, or what's your core LLM?
We use, Claude Code.
Okay. Sounds good. Great work.
Did you have a chance to make a question?
Yeah, I think one final question for me is, how do you see this product kind of evolve and add on even more use cases to it? And from the feedback that you've gotten from testing, do you see your customers come up with newer use cases that maybe you didn't really think of while you were building this product?
Yeah, I think that the future vision is definitely this kind of bottom-up engine of curiosity. But I'm really curious where this idea of like cognitive resistance will take us, because that is kind of the core innovation that we're trying to build out and something I haven't seen before. And I am kind of curious where there might be a different use case for that. One thing that I've thought of is, for example, oral exam testing software. If we get really good at, providing mental scaffolding and cognitive resistance and fighting the urge of GPTs to glaze, I think oral exam testing software could be used for, or even debates training software. But as of now, we're just trying to focus on doing the core really, really well and market ourselves kind of as this partner for thinking and not just like another mental outsourcing tool.
Got it. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I had one question.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry about that, but we had reached our time limit for this. I'm so sorry. We had two presenters to go next, and we also need to change the judge panel. Gunther, thank you so much for coming here. You want to say your last words? Say how people can find your project or your social media also?
Thank you. Yes, if everyone will go to readmimir.com and sign up for the waitlist, I'll send everyone an email to an invite for the product in a few weeks.